can see this pile of grass here. Interestingly, there's a big pile of grass that looks like the liver or the lungs. Now that could be the lungs. I'm guessing that a lot of the entrails, a lot of the insides have been buried under this pile of grass. You can see it's quite clearly been gathered by a very big paw. They must have gutted it and covered it up. Helps to suppress the smell of the insides, which can be rather strong. Perhaps helps keep the hyenas at bay for a little bit longer. A little bit of cloud in the east, so the sun isn't getting very intense yet, which means that the vultures won't be, or none of the raptors will be flying this early. It's still a little bit cool, the temperatures. And probably get something like a batelier finding it first. The batelier will then be visible to vultures that are soaring a little bit higher up and bring in the vultures. There we go, one of the adult females which was killed. A lot of the carcass has been eaten. I think those hyena killing the baby wildebeest. I just heard a wildebeest screaming, and if this cow had a calf, there's a strong possibility that that calf, because I heard something bleating earlier, and the rest of the wildebeest might move off. The calf would stand around bleating for mom, and I think that's why the hyena haven't got here. I think they've just killed a wildebeest, that wildebeest calf. I just noticed all the lionesses listening to what I was hearing. That would explain why the hyena aren't here. Okay, she's taking the kill away from the baboon, taking it up now into the open area. I wonder where she's taking it. Maybe it's good shade here. It could be just away from the smell of the rest of the carcass. But I think it's more than likely just away from the baboons. Maybe take it into the deeper cover. Maybe it's to get it away from the eyes of eagles and vultures. But the way she's looking back at the baboon, I think she just wants to move it away from this area where the baboons are. Andrew, did you find something there?
Nothing. My dry only.
Definitely heard. It sounded like a death cry. Phyllis, morning to you, Phyllis. Phyllis was asking at what age are these cubs vulnerable, or in general, at what age are cubs vulnerable to males coming into the territory? Phyllis, definitely these youngsters, even that young male would be vulnerable. Any cubs, even up to a year, maybe even a year and a half. I mean, we've seen with the likes of the Mapojos and the Majingi lions that any lion is vulnerable, not necessarily only the cubs. You can hear the wildebeest going, shouting a bit southern end of the open area. These lions have actually just moved themselves out of sight of the baboon. The baboon have calmed down a little bit. I think that was the main objective. So to a large extent it depends on the male or the males that are coming into a territory. And you could say that anything from a year and younger is likely to be taken. I've shared them for. Morning all. But with a large coalition of males, well, could be even older cubs of them, 18 months, if they're young males, could be killed. They'd more than likely run them off. And once they get closer to 2 years old, they'd more likely run them off, or they'd run away maybe. Looks like she's reluctant to lead the kill. The sun is... Fred. Hi, Fred. I'm not too sure if I understand the question, but Fred's asking if the two female lions are here, would the Majingi lions be nearby? There's no association between these cats and the Majingi lions, Fred. There are 3 females here, and my guess is they'd actually keep their voices a little bit low, and so as not to draw attention to themselves from the likes of the Majingi lions. Sorry, Graham, in your photo there. Wanted to get to some sort of point where we can see things. Backwards and forwards. They're going to make their way back to the kill now. That is just too beautiful, those little ones. Getting a view above the grasses for a change. Climbing skills still have to be honed. Yeah, it's easy going up, it's not easy coming down. The claws don't work coming down. Meow. Meow. As they run through the grasses and they start complaining like that. One lioness is covering something up again. Hello, Sue. Interesting question, because Sue's asking, these low contact calls that these females are making, would that not entice or bring in males into the area? There's a slight dilemma here, Sue, because these cats have to call loud, and they have to talk loud enough to be heard, but not so loud that they will be heard by males. So contact calls that they are making don't travel very far. I mean, I could hear it from my room this morning when I woke up at about 5, just after 5. I could hear them. That's when the baboon started stirring. Yeah, finally the sun is sort of breaking through a bit of cloud. Now, what's this? This is going to do? It is already quite high. What this will do is it will start developing thermals, and this is when the birds will start flying. So there's a good chance hooded, white-headed, or battalier, maybe even a tawny eagle, might come and investigate, and in the process of investigating, find a lion. And all it'll take is one battalier sitting in a tree for vultures elsewhere to come down and see what's going on. Now I just want to go up ahead. I want to see what it was here that this lioness often came back to this one spot, and just before they went back down towards the kill, she was scratching in the ground as though burying something. I'm just going to go around this old marula tree. This is a dead marula tree. A lot of the big branches have collapsed, and what that has done is it's offered some protection to a lot of plants that are growing. So there's a lot of dead wood around. But I just want to go and see if we can see what it was, if we can get close enough, because it was amongst all these fallen branches that she was scratching in the ground, almost like she was covering something up. Now what that could be just covering up toileting. I'm not going to get close enough to see. I'm not sure where it was even. Right here where my tire is a little bit of it. I think it's just toileting, covering up the cubs, toileting. All the wildebeest are further up, just off. Yeah, toileting. I can smell it now. I think I've driven over some of it, but it must be cubs toileting that they're covering up so that it can't be smelled too much. What I'm smelling is almost the same as a cat litter tray that's been sitting and hasn't been cleaned out for a day or two. So it's probably the cubs. Not as strong and as pungent as adults. But yeah, just up ahead, wildebeest watching the goings on. They are going to feel some loss. Especially the noises I was hearing has something to do with the fact that they know they've lost one of theirs. I wonder if they're going to be making their way to the dam. No, they're playing in the tree. Hello, Mark. In the US. Morning to you. Wanting to know how many cubs there are. Well, there seem to be 6 of them. I haven't as yet established sexes of the cubs. and established how many litters there are. I think there are only 2 litters. It looked like one of those females was not lactating. I think the older, the dominant female was not lactating. What's interesting is now these calves are hugging their mothers, these wildebeest. I'm just going to go and have a look at them. We'll be back. Hyena down there too. You can see the hyena. Two hyena. Hyena versus lion. This is a numbers game. The lionesses, 3 lionesses, are going to be super alert, and they are not going to be tolerant. But if they get overwhelmed by hyena numbers, there's going to be a problem. At the moment, I think they're more young hyena than they are adults, so they've got a fairly good chance. And these hyena, I'm sure they know where things are. They're pretty reluctant to move in. Well, I'm only seeing 2 hyena at the moment. 2 calves, 3 females of the wildebeest. Watching the hyena. There's the chevron, the mom with the chevron with her calf that's got a sort of a chevron. The white stripe across the nose. It wasn't her or her calf that was taken, at least. I don't know where the rest of the herd is. Probably split up during the night, during the hunt. I think that it sounded like they were going for a wildebeest. Daniel was asking a hyena going for a wildebeest. Earlier on, what I was sure I heard was a young wildebeest screaming. And there's a particular noise that animals make when they get killed, and it sounded similar. A bit of screaming. This hyena's a youngster. Hello, little one. I want to come sniff my tires, see where I've been. Two-year-old, maybe 2.5. Probably one of the ones from the Zoe's den. Beautiful view over that misty valley. This is going to be our next morning sunrise spot. Whenever that may be. Next time I'm driving in the morning. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to make our way back that way, but I want to do a bit of a tour of quarantine first, just to turn around and have a look, go down onto the road. You can hear the contact call from here. And if there are adult males in the area, it's not so much this contact call that these lions are doing that is going to attract the attention of lion. It's going to be just the sound of the baboon. It's probably what drew the hyena in, although also could have been the death cry of the wildebeest that they heard. But yes, I guess there is always that danger, no matter where you are. Even if we might think that there are no males in the area, the fact that there are baboon that are going mad, lion know what these baboon are about. They know what these noises are. They're likely to come in close enough to be able to hear. Oh, the purple roller up in this marula tree, and I was trying to get close to it, but oh, there's so many dead branches. The Mozambique or purple roller. Only other roller we're going to have at this moment, at this time of the year. Only 5 wildebeest, which means that there are another 6 or 7. The lion were here, up and down. This must have been where the hunt initiated. That doesn't look like there are any tracks of cubs here. So they probably stashed the cubs somewhere and patrolled up and down the open area until they managed to get into a position to chase those wildebeest. Chased them into the fence at Yuri's. Now, I've known cheetah to use the Sabi Sand fence on the western boundary of the Sabi Sand. I noted this was back in, well, a few years ago. There was a cheetah female. I watched her raise her cubs from a very, very young age. And I'm quite sure that she learnt it from her mother, because with cheetah, there's a very strong chain of knowledge that gets handed down from mother to child. So you find cheetah that will hunt very similar things and in similar ways to their mother, because the way cheetah learn is by example. Cheetah watch their mother hunt, and that's how they learn how to do things. They're not gifted with the instinctive ability to take something down as leopard are. And this female would chase warthog into the Sabi Sand fence, which had a couple of electric strands in it. And when they started hunting on their own, they started doing the same thing. They'd get into position and they'd chase these warthog into the fence, and that's how they could make a kill. Now that fence that surrounds Yuri's house, that is obviously just a small fence around the owner's private house and garden, but it does provide a barrier. Now we've seen impala backing up against that fence at night because it's safer for them to a large extent. They can concentrate. They only need to concentrate on one angle of danger, having the fence behind them. But that wildebeest must have hit that fence at at full speed, because it's bent one of the main poles. The hyena have been sleeping here in the road. Several of them have been sleeping here in the road. These impala are all pretty much oblivious to what's going on. They are a bit nervous. They can hear all the commotion. I'm sure they can smell things, and I'm sure they heard everything last night. Ephraim, come in. You still with Ngala? Yeah, please.
I'm on access main road now, coming from that short road from Bubble going south, but we need 36 road. Can I come to the Bubble way?
There's one of the hyenas lying down, not too far away, not bad. Perhaps wise, knowing that on its own it is not going to be able to even approach the kill. Those lionesses would kill it. Lift your other ear, please. No, I don't know who you are. Not too sure who you are. I don't know if we're going to be able to stay here very long, because there's another vehicle coming. Bless you.
This is coming, yeah?
Hello, Nancy in Indiana. Wanting to know if cubs were all one litter, or if they were given birth to at the same time. I'm just going to come here where this fallen terminalia is, and just maybe we'll get these cubs climbing here. There are a few cubs close to us here. We'll see if they might not climb. Nancy, I can't tell you. I haven't the faintest idea. Haven't seen these cats for so long that I don't even know who was pregnant. And watching them now for the first time, if we can get a bit closer to the female, see one of the females is suckling, but from that angle there are already two vehicles there to be able to see. But even then, it's not going to be easy to tell who's who just from who's suckling with which female, and whether it'd be interesting to see which of these females is lactating. 6 cubs in one litter is possible, although it would be a very big litter. My guess is it could be 4 and 2 or 3 and 3 from 2 different litters, but I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't recall even seeing these females when they were pregnant. We haven't seen much of the Nkuhumas over the years, and even though I've been here as long as I have, I'm not that familiar with them. As much as I've tried, and as much as the ladies who follow them have tried sending us information, it's only until they stay here and we get to watch them on a regular basis that we get to identify them more from their behavior and their status within the pride than from things like markings. Lion, it's not as easy as with leopard. Lion, it's quite subtle. Their whisker spot patterns. Obviously there are scars and nicks in the ears and other markings on them that might make an individual stand out above the others. But at the moment, only just seeing them now, it's going to take me a while to try and figure out who's who in this little zoo. These cubs are... they're going back. She's calling them back. But there were a couple of cubs closer to us than to the adults. They're adventurous. They're seeing the world, their world, for the first time probably. They've been... well, they've been up on Buffelshoek, but I couldn't tell you how much they've been moving around up on Buffelshoek. But certainly this part of the world. I think they've been around here for 2 days now, because we were following their tracks all the way along Cheetah Cut Line up towards Buffelshoek Dam 2 days ago, and they must have somehow been between there and here. Finally coming back towards this part of the world. Hello Jennifer, yes, there is one of the females. Jennifer was asking me about scars, not one of these females who has a pretty heavy scar just above her right eye. Looks like she seems to have been maybe knocked during feeding. I'm just going to move quickly. Getting back to another question earlier, I think it was Nancy perhaps, and it ties in also maybe with Jody. Hi Jody, New Mexico. Jody's question, asking if two females had cubs, would they suckle each other's cubs? Now, cats in a pride tend to come into estrus together, and they are likely to have cubs of the same age. It's very difficult, especially now. We've got a situation here that's a perfect example. We've got this older male cub, but at the moment on his own he's not too much of a threat. But when these little ones start feeding on meat, when these little ones do start feeding on meat, and they get a little bit older, and there is all this aggression and all of this action that takes place around the kill, especially if they've been without food for a while, if they're a little bit hungry, there's a strong possibility that all that fighting around the carcass, the older cubs can dominate over the younger cubs and completely force them off of the food. So it's something that has developed over time, that lionesses will come into estrus together, and by doing so, having cubs of the same age, those cubs have a greater chance of competing with each other, especially when it comes to feeding on the carcass. The difference in several months can mean the difference between life and death for the younger cubs. Fortunately, there's only the one older young male cub, and I think if anything he's going to be overwhelmed when these little ones start growing up a little bit. At the moment they're still a bit small, but give them a month or two, they're going to be all over that little boy, and they're going to have very, very sharp teeth and claws, and I think he's going to get quite irritable with them. Well, this is one of the females. She was suckling. She just stood up now. I seem to get a sense that they're two different sized cubs here, but the size difference could only be maybe a couple of there that she's also lactating. So those are the two mothers, I'm guessing. And I think the lioness that's sitting with her back to us, I don't think she is. She's a bigger, older cat. She's that lioness that has those ears very low down on her head. Grandma. We'll see how tolerant she is of little ones that don't seem to be too interested in climbing all over her. Hello, Fabienne. Asking if there's a hierarchy amongst the cubs. Not yet. I think it's got to develop over time. There will be a lot of infighting. And hi, Lisa. Chances of cub survival at this point in time, I would say, sadly, a lot slimmer now that the two big Kujima males are not here. And having said that, with the likes of the coalition, the males that are moving around, the different coalitions, even if the Kujimas were here, there's still the possibility that being only two against a coalition of 4, 5 or 6, there would still be a strong possibility of them being overpowered by a larger coalition. But yes, in this part of the Sabi Sand, cubs this age, we've got 6 little ones. It's going to be a difficult road ahead, as I said. I'm just going to turn around. Okay. Once again, heading away from the kill. One lion is staying behind. She might be staying there just to guard it. Possible to tell. This up and down that they've been doing, I don't know what it's about. Moving away from the kill. I think maybe a couple of the lionesses have decided they want to leave, and the older lioness just staying behind. They just keep coming back to her. So there is a hierarchy amongst the females. Might not be amongst the cubs just yet. They're still a little bit young. But most definitely amongst the females. Within a pride there's a hierarchy. There is a lioness that is the alpha lioness that makes a lot of the decisions. Oh, a pair of ground scraper thrushes. Makes a lot of the decisions about the hunts. Quite often, most often, she is the one that actually does the killing. She has the other lionesses perform a function in the hunt that gets them to chase the prey towards her, whatever technique they use. Different prides have different hunting techniques, different terrain demands different hunting techniques, and of course different prey species demand different hunting techniques, and she would be the one that would make all those hunt decisions. Look at this. Look at this. She's chasing off a hyena. She's seeing a hyena, just running towards it. Hyena's off to our left. The little ones mustn't follow her. But off she goes. She's off. She wants to get that hyena as far away as possible. She's not There we go. Did you catch her? Of course, the cubs didn't listen to the other female. They didn't stay behind. They actually followed her. But that was very interesting behavior. That it wasn't a case of just enough to see that hyena was running away. She made sure that the hyena. She wanted to make sure that hyena went far enough away. Not tolerating at all. But that is important. Sending a message to say stay as far away as you can. The other big lioness stood up to see what was going on. I think they want to move on. I think they've had their full with this. They're being abused by baboon. Morning, Sydney. They pretty much had their full. I think if it was a little bit more peaceful, if they had a little bit less, I wouldn't say threat, but just less interference. And it's not from us. I mean, they haven't, at one point, have they charged the vehicle and tried to move us off. They're quite, I wouldn't say quite comfortable, they're relatively comfortable. They're relatively comfortable with us here, and we obviously don't pose a threat to the cubs. They haven't done anything towards us to indicate that they are upset with us and our presence. But there are hyena and there are baboons barking, and well, day's wearing on. I probably want to find a good place to lie down. Nice gardenia here that'll provide some good shade. It's very hazy today, so very sort of thin cloud that is suppressing the sun, suppressing the warmth of the day, and that in itself is going to change the behavior of the raptors that ordinarily would be flying around right now. Squirrels are starting to shout. Delete. The new name. Asking about other vehicles and do they work for us or government agencies, and nothing like that. These are well, one of the vehicles is a private landowner whose neighbouring property, whose property is a neighbour to Nkuhuma Game Reserve. The other vehicle is one of the Nkuhuma Game Reserve vehicles. And one of the reasons why we have to move to make way for other vehicles is because you cannot have too many vehicles in a sighting. If you've ever been to Kenya or Tanzania or Botswana, some of those countries, the vehicles crowd the animals and it doesn't give the animals a chance. The vehicles don't give animals a chance to have freedom of movement. Now, in this part of the world, we limit only 3 vehicles at what we call a sighting, at an incident like this. Only 3 vehicles are allowed, and since we've been here for a long time, if any other vehicles were to come along, any neighbouring property vehicles that are allowed to come and traverse this area, since we've been here the longest, we would be obliged to leave and allow another vehicle to come and view it. A lot of these people are paying guests at the game lodges here, and they are paying a lot of money to come to Africa to see this. For us, we're paying a lot of money to be here too, but we can come back, whereas a lot of the guests that are staying at the lodges only booked in for a day or 2, maybe 3 days. And just the fact that they've walked between the vehicles like this is an indication that they haven't growled at us, their ears haven't gone flat, they seem quite relaxed. Why the cubs are making the choice to move like that, I don't know. Cubs are moving first and the females are following. Big brother to 6 little children. Ow. Ow. Heading back. She likes the shade of this gardenia. But maybe making their way back to the kill again, because the big old girl at the back doesn't want to follow. Ow. I just love that sound. It's actually not far from the sound of baby crocodiles hatching. Baby crocodiles perhaps a little bit more high pitched than this. See, I think it's a 4 and 2. 2 with the one female now and these 4. I've noticed a couple of times now that there seems to be, gosh, I don't know, and then one of them runs over to the other female. See, it's not really that easy to sort of decide, even if we look at who's suckling where. I think they've been making sure that it's safe to suckle. And you'll see cub go from one female to the other. That's too close, Sydney. Hello, Ellen, in Illinois. Illinois. Hello, Ellen. Wanting to know what age the cubs feed on meat. Well, Ellen, they're actually starting already. Not so much feeding on it, but licking at it, getting a taste of what it's all about. Why these youngsters keep running off to the west like that? And that's maybe why. And then the females get worried. Oi, they're running, and that's why the female's following like this. Those cubs. If a hyena saw that, the hyena would run in there so quickly. Go and fetch your children. Backwards and forwards. Coming back. Political question. Peggy, why are other lodges allowed to come onto this property? We're not allowed to go onto theirs. Peggy, those are arrangements between Juma itself and the other properties. Whatever arrangements there are have nothing to do with Wild Earth Safari. We, just like other places, have to pay for traversing, and any of the properties that come here allow the Juma vehicles. We are not Juma, so we don't fall under that category. Look at that line is straight. Look at those claws. Look at that cub between the tree there. Between the fork of that tree. Just gonna sit here. Maybe they're gonna come back again. Or maybe they're gonna lie down there. But yes, the politics between landowners and traversing properties is something that really not really good for discussion right now. But okay, you're gonna get into trouble, little one. You're climbing into a tree, and all wonderful to get up a tree. It's a different matter when you want to get down again. Oh, that is just too beautiful. I guess another simple answer to the question is that our broadcast range doesn't extend to other properties at this stage anyway. So even if we had permission, it would be pretty difficult to get to other properties. The whole of Buffelshoek is private land. There are no lodges there except for Gallagher Camp, which is leased from the Buffelshoek Trust. But Buffelshoek prefer not to have too many vehicles on their property. They sell traversing to Juma Game Reserve to allow the Juma vehicles to go there, and in the process there's reciprocal rights. So the vehicle that we have here in the sighting right now is one of the largest members of the Buffelshoek area. We often hear us talking about Sydney's dam. Well, that is Sydney, and he has a camp up near the gate where his big dam is. I think these lionesses have a pretty hard job keeping these cubs in one place. They can't relax for a minute. Okay, let's just maybe move a little bit. Perfect light. It's filtered light that's coming through with this hazy sky. Really beautiful to be able to see cats like this. Okay, move forward. There's some nice dead wood just up ahead. We'll see if the youngsters are going to play on that. Could be they might be going back towards the drainage line for a nap. Find some deeper cover for the day. The lionesses can relax a bit and sleep. Hard to tell what their plan is. I think at this stage of the game looks more like the youngsters are moving and the females are just trying to keep them all together. Termite mound. Now this might be interesting. It will be beautiful if they do. That beautiful light on the termite mound just next to the road. See if they're going to climb up there. Up the termite mound, children. The termite mound, children. Morning, Karen. Karen or Karen? Karen. Karen Pilot. Wanting to know when the males get their mane. Well, already when they're already a year, there's already fluff growing around the neck. So it's not like just suddenly it's there. It starts from a very young. In fact, this young male, if they had a sister, we'd already see, and he's only probably about 6 months old, if that. Sorry, I'm just going to get a better view of these youngsters on the termite mound. But if this young male had a sister, we'd already see that there's a little bit more fluff around his ears and on the nape of his neck than there would be for a female. So it's something that starts at a very young age. By the time they're 5 years old, it's fully grown. Oh, I'm not going to play on that termite mound as much as I wanted, but there is a really lovely shot of the young little boy. on the termite mound. Just get that quickly before he leaves. Stay there, little one. And look this way. Watching Impala to the south of us. He's looking for his mother. I'm sure it must be his mother that he's torn. He doesn't know which way is best to go. Go with the ladies and the babies or stay with mom? We're going to stay with them. They appear to be heading down towards the drainage line. Rare opportunity to spend as much time with them as possible. Fortunately, without that many vehicles today, a lot of the vehicles that have been here have moved off already, and we have this opportunity. We have the freedom to be with them for now, and I think since we don't know if they're going to be staying here on Juma, on Western Gowrie, they could head back to Buffelshoek. Proverbial making hay while the sun shines. And those of you who are with us on this drive, I'm glad you are. Obviously some people can't watch morning drives and some people can't watch afternoon drives. So for some of you who some folks managed to see them late yesterday afternoon with Ruan, I'm going to try and spend as much time as I can with them now. They're heading back towards where they were yesterday when Ruan arrived at them, back closer to Zoe's Road, and almost on the edge of the open area now. The big lioness hasn't joined them. She's staying with the kill. Whether she's going to stay there all day and keep it safe from scavengers remains to be seen. Another termite mound, very low mound in front of us. See if they go on top of that. Well, we might even lose them once they get into the drainage line. Karula and the cubs. Inga's house. Wow. Yeah. Oh well, that's got the vehicles rushing there. We'll hopefully get to see Karula and the cubs as well this morning. Karula probably heard these baboons barking, although I don't understand why she would come, unless she thought maybe her boys are here. Or she maybe thought there's another leopard, but there is a difference in the noise that baboon make when they bark for lion or leopard. and I'm quite sure she's heard these lions. Certainly, Markia. Oh, that radio. Sydney, which way are they moving?
They're moving west, they're coming in.
Okay, thanks. Coming onto quarantine. Look at the light on these cats. Oh, we are very lucky to see this. These little ones. Hello, Joe. With this many lions in the area, will put Karula and cubs in danger? Yes, to some degree. But I think these cats have got their own agenda at the moment. They don't know where Karula is. They don't know that she's only a couple of 100 yards, maybe 300 yards away. And well, they've got their own cubs to be concerned about at the moment. They're going to roar now, I think. Getting more than just contact call with cubs. I think they're trying to make contact call with that other female. Hello, Jennifer, Toronto. Wanting to know if I think Karula can tell the difference between the alarm calls. Well, most definitely. I mean, this is a language. This is the language of the bush. We as humans are perhaps the most inept at identifying these things. But yes, for the animals, they know exactly what every noise is. They can tell the difference between a squirrel shouting at a snake or an eagle. I'm quite sure Karula knows what's going on. Stalking, look at that little one stalking on the left there. Belly to the ground. Ow. Jump up and bite you, mum. Yeah, they just keep looking back for that other lioness, and she's not coming. Because she's got some wildebeest she still wants to feed on later. Unless she's going to drag that thing all the way down here, but that's not... Oh, not much left to the carcass. That's remotely possible. I doubt it. Okay, let's move up a bit closer. Little patch of open ground.
That's all right. I don't think there's anybody on lock there at the moment. Sydney Frankel was there.
Ryan, come in.
Marcus.
On this side, dude. Well, moving, stopping, moving, stopping. There's still one lioness on the bummer, but most of them are here.
Okay. Is it just yourself here, huh?
Yeah, firm. That the kill in the other lioness at Yuri's house. There's also Karula and the cubs at Inga's house.
Really? The Manjani Shah, huh?
Yeah, firm, they're playing in the road.
Awesome. My bonds will come in?
Caught a tail.
Yeah, well, just come to quarantine and you'll get us around the western side of quarantine.
Hey Ryan, if you can control your channel, I'm going back to our channel.
Mark, will you just give me a shout if anybody else is making their way here?
Okay, will do. I think everyone's rushing to Karula though. The little boy gets a bit boisterous with those very little ones. And he's going to get payback one day when they get a little bit older. They are making their way into some much thicker, longer grasses. We've had the best of them this morning. Flies. Yeah. Something else, these flies this morning. This long grass and we're trying to keep distance. Trying to see how. Sydney, come in. How many vehicles are with you?
One and two on the way.
Okay. How many on liner? Okay, thanks. Already 3 vehicles lining up to see Karula and the cubs. So the little ones ahead of us. Be very careful in these grasses. Peggy, morning to you. Wanting to know if Karula would get her cubs high enough in a tree if they came close to the lion. Yes, they would. The thing is that this contact calling, Karula is likely to hear it if she does get close to them. And she's likely to stay away because of it. But if there was a possibility that their paths crossed, she wouldn't have to get very high up a tree. It's difficult to say what would happen, but I think under the circumstances, All the cats just want to protect their youngsters, and they're going to keep them away from each other. I would imagine that maybe, just like the lioness broke away and chased that hyena, I would imagine maybe one lioness would do that, and given enough warning, Karula would just have to get up into a tree. Lioness would probably leave her be once she's in a tree. But the leopards, being a lot smaller and a lot lighter, can climb and crawl to some of the thinner branches towards the end. And even if a lion managed to get up the trunk of a tree, it wouldn't be able to get up onto the branches of a tree. The thing is, you see, we're talking about a behavioral, something that will happen, or can happen, or something that we can't predict. In fact, if you had to ask 10 people, even if we asked 10 people who knew lion and leopards and 10 people who didn't, you would get 20 different answers, and all 20 of those different possibilities aren't even what other possibilities could be about what could happen. So this is not something that I could say that there will be. I don't know how to answer it other than to say that, we're talking about individual thinking, feeling, emotional creatures, and the very fact that they are unpredictable is the only thing that you can be predictable about. That you can be sure that that whatever happens will be something that you never thought of, perhaps. I can only say what might happen. I can only say, well, this might happen, or they might do this, they might do that, and that'll be one of many possibilities. There's no way of knowing what an animal will do. There's so many factors involved when it comes to behavior that you can't be sure about these things. Okay, we're getting to some pretty long grasses, and I think I've said that a few times already, I think they want to settle down. Another little termite mound there that's got some flat, short grasses on it. You can't see that, unfortunately. Maybe if I move forward a bit. No, it's so much dead wood there. Another vehicle coming into the Singala sighting.
Yeah, Mark's Armand's making his way.
Alright, I'll make way for him. Pretty delicate sighting now. I'll try and get back to that other Mafazi with a bumper.
I'm not sure like you said, okay. There's quite a scuba here, huh?
Yeah, there is. I think maybe they want to go settle in there for the day. But just let me know where you leave them. Yeah, evidently a bunch of vehicles there already. Sydney says that there are 3 on lineup. station leaving the locker. These Ngala, most of them have gone down into the Shkovanin west of quarantine. Ryan and one other Arathusa mover with the lock. You can contact them on channel 3. Those of you with the Ingwe, I'm going to be with that bumper with the last lioness. If you can let me know when there's a gap to come into Karula. Hi Linda. Wait, I'm trying to formulate this question, a multifaceted question. I don't know if I'm going to get this right. Yeah, I think just give it to me again to try and understand it better. Since they're active at night, will the cubs rest? Will the cubs rest at night, or will they sleep when they'll sleep? Linda, it's a very, I'm not too sure what you're getting at, but just the cubs are, I don't know. It's once again a behavioral thing. It's not so much that the lion are nocturnal or diurnal. Lion just generally spend most of their time sleeping. Cubs will sleep, they'll wake up, they'll play and feed at regular intervals. And the youngsters will be awake at more regular intervals than the adults, obviously, because they're younger, faster metabolism. There's no regularity to it. There's nothing that I can say, well, at certain times they're going to be sleeping and at certain times they're going to be eating. It's just, Linda, difficult one. It's not something that I can give you such a straight answer to. I think you can be pretty sure that during the heat of the day, here she is, here, away from the carcass.
I just had something sort of screaming somewhere here. I'm hoping for around this side.
Sounds like Karula might have caught something.
From where I'm going to see here.
Takes how many of you in that lock?
Myself, Ephraim, and Sydney. But we don't have visual now.
Okay, copy. I'm just going to sit with this lioness for the time being while I'm chatting to you, answering Linda's question. So, I think you can be sure that during the heat of the day they're probably going to be sleeping, and during that time, and there's often what I've observed with cubs is they'll wake up and they'll suckle, they'll play a little bit. But they do tend to be a lot more lethargic if it's a hot day, and then it was just like last night during that dusk period, that time when just before we left them last night, those youngsters started getting very active, especially if they have been sleeping. There's no regular pattern. They don't have a circadian rhythm like we do, like the baboons and the warthog and those animals that are strictly either diurnal or nocturnal in their habits. Circadian rhythm being that sort of internal body clock that drives animals that are strictly nocturnal or diurnal. Lion are just as happy in daylight as they are at night, and especially with this kind of weather that we have now. It's nice and cool. We're talking about almost room temperature right now. The sun it's trying to break through this very high layer of thin cloud. So it's at about 10% strength, the sun. It's not warm. If there was no cloud, it would have driven these cats into the shade already. It would have put them flat on their sides already, more likely, especially having full bellies. But because there's a fairly cool breeze blowing, there's this little bit of cloud, very, very faint light coming through. They have been moving around a lot more than they would have. She's now contact calling. I think she's just reminding the baboons that she's still here. The other part of Linda's question was whether the lion disciplined their cubs the way elephants discipline their young. So I think just about every animal has to discipline their young. But yes, very much so. You find, in fact, there was a moment this morning where, was it this morning or was it yesterday? I forget now. I think it was last night, where one of the females was I think she was suckling, and she was in a position, or maybe it was this morning. Oh gosh, I can't remember now. Combination of being so excited about seeing them and my brain thinking about all these questions coming in. But the young male tried to go and nudge his mother, and she turned around and she snarled at him, bared her teeth. Quite often the disciplining, all it needs is a growl, a spitting, or just baring their teeth, just a grimace. They've gone the other way, girl. Sometimes they'll smack them with a paw, especially on a kill, when they've been hungry and they suddenly got a kill and they're all feeding. There is a kind of a hierarchy in terms of who feeds when, and you'll get a paw and a few claws in the head of a youngster to suppress it. So there is a lot of fighting, there's a lot of aggression on a kill. But normally it's vocal and visual. It's only when the youngsters don't listen too much that they start to get a little bit more physical. I'm looking south I'm seeing a couple of vehicles moving way down south, probably about 200 meters away, thinking it might be where Karula was. They evidently lost her in some thick bush on the edge of the open area. Aha, I've just seen a big bird in the marula tree further down, although it was flapping its wings like a harrier hawk. Juvenile harrier hawk. It was brown. Susan was asking whether she is sick or injured or something, and whether the other ones will come back and fetch her, or once again another behavioral thing that we have to wait and see what happens. I can guess at what might happen. I don't think she's sick. I don't think there's anything wrong with her. I think she's keen on just staying with the carcass. There's still a lot to eat on the carcass. Lion are known to sit and guard a carcass, especially because there've been hyena around. I think she would rather ensure that she's got a little bit more to eat later on. And she's sitting, she's not too concerned about things. But the others think, if anything, what I think might be the scenario here, and I'm open to correction, and I'm also open to amending my thoughts at any moment, based on the behavioral changes that take place. But they've headed off with the cubs. I think they've gone into the drainage line west of quarantine. I think that's where they're going to spend the day. That's where they're probably going to go and sleep off what they've been feeding on so far. I don't think it was necessary for them to go so far away, other than maybe because they have cubs and the cubs perhaps are vulnerable out here in the open, on the open area, which is why they've gone into thicker bush, so that they can sleep and the cubs can run around a little bit when they need to. If she needs to join up with them, she'll make these contact calls. She will also be able to follow the scent where they've walked. She'll be able to follow where they went to. It is possible as well that those lionesses, after they've slept a little bit, will come back here to the kill to feed again. They know exactly where she is. They know that they've left her here. They constantly stopped and looked back in this direction to see where she was, to see if she was following them. It's one of those things that, that's why we will sit here. Sometimes it can get maybe a little monotonous. Maybe it can just get to be where nothing happens for a while. But that is one of the reasons why we have to be patient. One of the reasons why I like to sit with things and wait and see. Because a lot of these questions that are being asked can only be answered by sitting and watching and waiting. And we are on a bit of a time limit in terms of the length of drive that we have and how long we're out. And we might not get any answers in the 3 hours of the morning drive. And therefore, this afternoon's drive will have to come out and maybe we'll find some answers on what's happening. She's got quite a gash on the top of above her right eye. Now, I don't know, I think that was there yesterday already, if I'm not mistaken. Ryan, come in. Yeah, go. Okay, so have you left them?
Still with them. Pretty much a little bit west of where you left us. Little ones are all over the show. Up and down in the school at the up north.
Okay, yeah, I'm still with the older female. She's also a lot of pioneer, but she's trying to locate them, contact calling. But I don't think she wants to leave this kill. Not much, but still enough for them to feed some more. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think she just wants to guard it, make sure that NPC and the things don't take it. Okay, so Anne from Edmonton and Alberta. Maple Leaf. Hello, Anne. How old are the cubs? I'm thinking about 8 weeks. 2 months. Maybe a little bit more, but I don't think they're much more than 2 months old.
If you look in where the ticket of the terminalia with that small weeping wattle behind there.
Ronnie wants to know when the females will come back into estrus. Probably in about 2 years' time, Ronnie. But I have to add and emphasize that this is one of my other answers one of my usual answers. It depends. And it's going to largely depend on who the males are in the area if these cubs grow. Let's put it this way. If males come in and take over this territory right now, because it is open, and the Tukajima males sadly aren't with us anymore, and, well, if there's males that come in and they kill these cubs, these females can come into estrus within 2 weeks. It's possible. Likely is another story. These lionesses might come into estrus to have, but they might not conceive. They might let the males mate with them, but they won't see, they'll any new males that come in, they will have to test these males to see whether they're going to be here long enough to be able to raise cubs to at least 2 years old. And so lionesses tend to, although they can come into estrus, they tend to not fall pregnant for a while. It's almost as though they're making sure that the males are going to be strong enough to hold their own, to guard their territory, and to look after the cubs that they're going to sire. Hello, Jennifer. Toronto. Still in Canada. From Edmonton to Toronto. If Karula was in danger, if she came close by, would there be part of me that would want to interfere and warn her? Well, I mean, a lot of that, Jennifer, is very, makes this part of the life that we live, makes it very, very hard. Being witness to something like that and knowing that there's nothing we can do is very, very difficult. Yes, there would definitely be a part of me. I mean, at this stage of the game, I would be so torn because I would be just as, or I would want to be just as protective over these lion cubs as much as I would want to be over Karula and her cubs. I can't imagine having to choose. But I have to say that the head would take over the heart under the circumstances, and I would be compelled to sit by no matter what happens. It's difficult. It's heartbreaking sometimes, being a guide, being a person with a passion for nature, and having to witness things that have been taking place. Incidents, conflicts, things like that have been taking place for millions of years. Things like that are vital to the survival of all of these animals in the long run, and not only the individuals but the species. That there is conflict in not only interspecific but intraspecific conflict between other species and conflict between the same species. It's that very conflict that drives the whole premise of the strongest and the fittest surviving and maintaining the integrity of a species as a whole. We just have to be voyeurs. We just have to take that back seat and let nature play out. She's a big cactus. Look at those shoulder muscles, those biceps. Linda, do I think the lion have gone off to find water after the kill? Linda, they know where Gari Dam is. It's closer to where they went to. So I don't know. I don't think it's got anything to do with finding water. They know where, as I say, they know where the dam is. They know where water is. There's also water down in the drainage line where they've gone. But no, I don't think it's got anything to do with water. I think they just want to go and find a place to sleep for the day, rather than be here in the open. Difficult to say why they've gone where they have and what that's all about. My guess is it's just they fed on the carcass considerably, and I think they just want to go into the thicker drainage line to be able to go and sleep. See, out here in the open, all those youngsters wanted to do was scatter. Down in the drainage line, the youngsters are a lot more comfortable. I think those youngsters feeling a little bit nervous out here in the open. The way they were running up and down, pulling those females backwards and forwards. And I think to a large extent that will calm them down a lot, being in the thicker bush. Let's follow her. She's going to go back to the carcass. Tucked it right in underneath this bush to most likely to make it less visible to the aerial scavengers. Hyena already know that it's here. They know that they can't come in. They'll probably join forces and make an approach this evening to see if they can get something this evening. We might find pieces of this wildebeest at the den in the next couple of days. I haven't yet seen any raptors other than what looked like might have been an African harrier hawk. Yeah, it's behind us. It is a juvenile African harrier hawk being mobbed by rollers and purple rollers mobbing it. It's in a... I can turn. Actually, let me turn. We can get to see that. Sorry, madam. I just want to see this. Also known as a gymnogene. It's a very unique way of feeding. It's the only raptor. It's not going to be interested in this carcass at all. We've actually got a wildebeest approaching as well. Could be the bull sniffing around. Let me see what we got in the tree. The juvenile. Now, this is a bird. This is a bird that has a unique ankle joint. And that habit of hanging like that is to get, he's probably getting under the bark, it may be insects and things, but a lot of the birds, things like woodpeckers, barbets, in particular the barbets, when they make a hole in a tree, they make it underneath an overhang like that. And this bird has got a joint in its legs that can bend through an extra 30 odd degrees that allow it to put those feet into a hole, whether it's a crevice in a rock or a nest in a tree, and feel around at all sorts of angles for chicks, because it's probably one of the main predators of young birds. And they're able to hang on with one claw, or with one talon rather, hang upside down while they feed inside holes and crevices. I think what he's doing though, she, what this one is doing is it's feeling around this piece of bark, probably for geckos or scorpions, and off he goes. could be the same juvenile we've seen here on several occasions over the last couple of years. Rollers are going crazy, chasing it, mobbing it. Starlings are now coming in to mob it. You see, the rollers also have nests in holes in trees. They use this. They will take disused or unused holes, old nests, turn them into their own. So one of the main predators of a roller would be the harrier hawk. And we've got lilac-breasted roller and purple roller harassing this bird, who's now settled in the denser marula tree.
Bye. Yeah, Andrew, you can move in there.
Texan, come in.
Yeah, okay.
Who's still on lineup for that Ingwe?
Okay, just only one mover now there. Graham, just at the western side of the bush right there.
Okay, copy, thanks. Let's go see Karula. She's not going anywhere right now. Not to my knowledge. I don't think she's going to be doing anything right now. She's sitting watching that kill, making sure it doesn't go anywhere. The big bull wildebeest up ahead. Be interesting to see what happens if he comes sniffing around, looking for one of his cows. Okay, Jimnagene back on that dead marula tree. So much happening here in the open area near camp, we don't even need to go far. Sometimes I've been asked the question, how far do you go and what sort of distance you cover on a game drive? Well, today I don't even think we're going to cover a half a mile. So just a little bit of backwards and forwards. Look at this bird, quite a stunning bird. Oh, it's not going to sit still for us. It's hunting. It would be interesting to follow it. It would be interesting to stay here. But there's just so much else happening. We might be able to see it a bit later. I want to try and get to see Karula. It'd be a unique moment in our time here to have lioness and cubs, Karula and cubs, in the same open area. There's our resident bull wildebeest, just lost one of his wives. It's been sniffing around this grass. Sandy! Hi there. This lioness we've been watching, the one that's guarding the kill. Sandy wants to know.
Yeah, you are on the western side of bush, right? Yeah, you go straight to...
Is she in her prime? And do I think she's the one that made the kill? Yes and yes, Sandy. More often than not, the dominant oldest lioness in a pride is the one that makes the kill. And yes, she's in her prime. I didn't actually look, but I would say she's probably 6 to 8 years old, maybe. Graham, come in. Graham, come in. Henry, come in. Now approach headlock. Thank you very much. Monarch Manor. Still a few monarchs flying around Monarch Manor. Oh, where's the bushbriar? And there's some impala here. So I don't know where Karula is. I just have to try and figure it out. Hyena tracks everywhere. Where's Karula, Impala? There, she must be there. Not even 50 yards away from these Impala. Stop here. I'm not too sure where she is right now. She's somewhere in the bush ahead of us. These Impala are oblivious. Yes, I don't want to be in the way of the Impala, or rather her view of them. I don't want to be in a straight line. At the moment, I'm just going to try and establish what's going on with the lock. Evidently the cubs are not here right now, which means that she might be hunting. Too much open ground. There's open patch of grassland here between her and these Impala, so she can't really approach them from this angle anyway. Wait for Graham to move. I'm going to try and... I'm reluctant to go down there because then we're going to be facing away from these Impala. But she might not even be looking at them. She might not even be interested. Okay. Is she not watching those marla?
Sorry?
She's not watching those marla. And my pepper? Perhaps it's the other side of the road or something. This is the eastern side of Bushbright. I don't know. Okay, so she's sleeping quite deep in this bush. She's obviously not even looking at these impala. She's even still here. I mean, I could do that one day. Just park next to a thick bush and say, oh, I've got a leopard here. Get all the vehicles to come and say, yeah, but she's in there. It's just can't see her just yet. I'm not seeing an ear or a... You... Oh, right there. Okay, I see her now. Got her head down. She's asleep. Now I see an ear. Not even looking up at us. Okay. So much for that. I'm not even interested in the impala. But is this... This is one of the youngsters. I haven't seen them for so long I wouldn't even know. Just see an ear. It looks a bit small to me. Franklin making a lot of noise down in the drainage line. I don't know so much we can do about this. Other than see if those impala wander down this way, something might happen, but this cat is head on paws, fast asleep. I can just see a couple of spots of the shoulder blade sticking up. Spider web, top right to the left. Yeah, let me get it. Across this top corner. Spider web.
You can get a better angle of it coming from that side.
And try. Let me just get a little bit more of a glimpse of her here. Those impala are wandering a little bit closer. She might hear them soon enough and lift her head. That may be a reason why she's left the cubs a little way away. And that she knows that they're here and that she's planning this. She's got her head down. She's just waiting until she hears them come closer. She can probably hear them moving. She can probably hear them feeding, chewing, or bleating. And she's just tucking herself in, waiting in ambush. Which might be an idea for us to just sit and wait too. In fact, might be an idea for us to move back a little bit. You see, she's now quite an experienced huntress, and instead of trying to sneak closer to them, she's perhaps learnt that maybe it's better to just sit and wait. Figure out which way they're moving, go ahead of them, lie down, wait until they get closer, jump up and pounce. Hello Nancy. Yes, Nancy. Got a couple of them here. Wild hibiscus. Nancy wants to know what these flowers are around us. There are quite a few actually. One of the wild hibiscuses. Cotton family.
You got one there?
Well, there's one just in front of me. The light coming through it. Malvasia. Hi there, Greg. How you doing?
Listen, I've got
I'm not with that Ngala, Greg, but just on the right, close to Yuri's house, on the western edge of Yuri's house, there's one female still with a carcass.
Thanks, Bob.
I'll try and get hold of the Arathusa guys to see where the rest of those lion went.
Thanks, Bob.
Ryan, come in. Ryan, copy? They must have all gone those by the way. Well, Impala are wandering down here. I'm going to move back a little bit and get a better view of the whole scene that's about to play out. Now, we've been in this situation before once or twice in the last couple of months where we've had Impala and leopard very close to each other. Put your head down, woman. I'm going to move back a little bit so we can still see her and so we can see these Impala approach. I don't want to be too close to things, but I do want to see these Impala closing the gap. Can you see her through there? Okay. And with things tensing up, tensing, with things getting a bit more tense, gives me an opportunity to chat to you. I don't have to keep too quiet. Keep my voice relatively low and monotone. Impala are browsing and grazing closer. There's a good chance she's going to make a go for it. Now, as long as we can be assured that nothing else is going to come and disturb us, I think there's a good chance that something might happen. It's not that I'm wishing a kill to happen. It is part of the process of nature that these things do take place. But it's also, there's a warthog just behind us walking through the bush. She's just noticed a big male warthog. She heard it running through the bush. She's looking quite slim. I'd say the warthog's probably a little bit too big for her. And she's now having a look at those impala coming closer. And what you gonna do, girl? The fact that she's left the cubs, she doesn't have the cubs with her, means, to me, it means that I think she is planning a hunt. Apart from the fact that cats are opportunist. But if she wasn't planning on this, she'd have the cubs with her. She's fortunate that there aren't any birds here at the moment that are alarming because of her presence. And I think any of the oxpeckers that might be with the impala won't be able to see her either. She's got some pretty thick combretum, bush willow between her and them. She's obviously looking at them through gaps in the leaves. But more than that, I think she can hear them, and she's waiting until an opportunity gets a little bit closer. Now, to my knowledge, there have been buffalo and rhino up on cheetah cut lion, and someone was speaking about elephants somewhere. So forgive me if I didn't rush to try and get the big five. I think there's just been more happening around here that is more important than just trying to tick off the big five for a game drive. It would be fun to do so, but with things getting really close here, I don't want to go off anyway. maybe this afternoon, and get rhino, buffalo and elephant to make it a big 5-day. Go away, fly. Now this impala ram is also moving his females around a little bit, and that might work in her favor. Wind coming in from the south. So they're not going to pick up a scent, taking a scent right onto quarantine. They're east of her. Here she comes. She's going to start making her way into a striking position. Sadly, it's coming right in front of us, and I don't really like that. If the impala look at us, they might see her, but she's using cover well. She's not an inexperienced. Oh, there's a vehicle. Hopefully going by. Karula, they're going to see you, girl. She will need to cross this little gap in front of us. That's going to put her right in the open. What she's also doing is she's got to try and single out one of them and wait for a moment when they're distracted, just as they were now. Unfortunately you didn't see that, but that ram is chasing some of them around, and every now and then when he makes a lunge for one of the females, all the others move almost like in a wave. But he's run off chasing a female that's trying to escape way to the back. So with him moving away, it looks like they've actually turned around and followed him a little bit. That means that their back is to us and her. Biggest problem for Karula right now would be a tree. There aren't many large trees here where she could tree a kill quick enough. And if there's still hyena hanging around, she might have to take it into the nearest tree, which wouldn't be really that convenient for her to feed on or in. Okay, I think they're facing away enough for her to now stalk a little bit closer. She's keeping herself low, very typical of a stalking cat. There's some pretty good cover for her now. Almost on the ground. And I know we should maybe try and get a little bit further up, but right now I don't want to move the car at all. She's getting into a really good striking position. We might not see the strike, because if I start the car, those impala are going to look up. I think we've gotten to the point where we've sat enough or quiet enough that everything's gone back to normal, that any movement that we make now will hinder it or do something that will either help or hinder her, help them or hinder them. But she's moving really close to striking distance now. There we go, she struck. they scattered. She's got one, and she's bringing it back here. She's got one. She took a youngster. Well done, Karula. As I say, we didn't. Wow, my heart is beating. She's taking it to this marula tree behind us. She probably scouted the area out quite well already. This is going to bring a hyena probably. She's still strangling it. She's got it by the throat. She's throttling it. Now, she's probably scouted this area quite well to see which tree, and the nearest tree is this marula tree behind us. I'm going to turn around quickly because we want to see her climbing. Patience pays off. Where is she going? She's not taking it to this marula. If anyone's interested, Karula's just bumping a mala.
Okay, copy, mark on the road. Okay. Mark for Greg.
Go ahead, Greg.
Mark, where are you?
Approaching the drainage line just west of that bush brae site. Go ahead, Sydney.
What is she down there?
An impala.
Oh, no, so the cub is there.
Sorry, go again?
Oh, the cubs is there.
No, I don't know where the cubs are. I think she stashed them on the other side of bush brae site. She's been watching these impala for a while.
You watched the rumba?
We watched the stalk. She took one just behind some bushes, but yeah, pretty much saw it. Yeah. Patience.
I'm actually, my pipans are very close to the bush brother. You just saw that when we touched down.
Okay, I should probably get them if she takes. It looks like she wants to get it to a marula tree. But probably when she's got in a tree, she'll probably get the cubs. Let's see if I can move a bit more. Come in from that side. Oh, there we go. Go ahead, Greg.
Sorry, man, I didn't get your lock.
Oh, Greg, do you know where the bush brae site is?
No, I don't.
Northern end of Quarantine. Do you know where Quarantine is?
Yeah, I'm on quarantine. I was just at Karula.
Okay, if you come to the northern end, where that road that goes down to Philemon Dip, just west of that, there's a bush brae area, and I'm west of that down in the drainage line.
Okay, thanks a lot.
There comes a battalier, one of the first raptors of the day, doing its circles. It might see that other kill before it sees this. Okay, let's try and get around this bush. She's panting still. She's still got to try and regain her strength. I'm going to try and get around to the other side of this tree so we can see from the other side. Hopefully she is going to get it up this marula tree. Otherwise she might take it down into the drainage line to one of the trees, and there's trees here that we've seen her tree kills in before. This marula tree is a little bit difficult perhaps. It's quite a thick trunk, got quite an angle to it. I'm thinking that with the tight hold that she's got on this impala's neck, I'm thinking, yeah, she's taking it down into the drainage line. She's going to take it to that, maybe to that Albizia behind us. There's a broadpod false thorn behind us, which she's probably taking it to. And this is where we had in Duna the other day. Relax, girl. I just want to see what you're doing. We don't want to disturb you. But that was a silent kill. That was one of the most perfect leopard kills I've ever seen. Very, very often, a strike can go wrong in the sense that the impala screams somewhat. This was just a lot of alarm calling, and I think with the presence of leopard, or rather hyena and lion that there are around here, it won't draw as much attention as if there weren't any of the other predators and there wasn't the signs of kills that there have been last night. What's she watching? Is there a hyena coming? She's very vigilant. Get it to a tree, woman. Also, those impala alarmed for a short while and then stopped. She's also going to try and find a spot where she can tree the kill and then still get her cubs to that tree, to that kill, because the cubs are going to be, we're going to be seeing, hopefully, time is just an enemy today. Hopefully seeing her bring the cubs to the kill and seeing their interaction, of because they're going to be feeding on the kill, and see what kind of interaction there is between the two of them, whether they fight over it or whether they feed together. Greg, come in. Greg, do you know that little road that runs along the western edge of Quarantine?
Yes.
Okay, if you come from the northern edge of Quarantine down that road, there's a little track that heads south at that bend at the bottom, and you just turn south, you should see us.
Okay. No, I'm actually on the wrong little road at the moment. What are you talking about?
Now, quite often when you see us stopping for drag marks, it gives you an idea of what makes those drag marks, either a hyena or a leopard or something, the way she's dragging it. Hyena, on the other hand, would probably be able to lift that whole impala, be able to grab it midsection, lift that whole thing off of the ground and run with it. That's how strong the shoulders and the jaws and the neck muscles of a hyena is. For a leopard, all her power is in her front legs, not so much in the neck. There's still another nice marula further down. Most of the kills that I've witnessed have been when I've been in the vehicle. Well, the vehicles are piling up. Now we are going to have to move, but I've got to stay with her. I might incur the wrath of some of these guys, but I'm staying with her until I see her take it up that tree. If we can. She might take it into the drainage line, we might lose her. But getting to getting eaten by a knob saw now. Ow. Tired, but she knows where she's going. She's taken kills into these trees often. It's not, I guess part of it is maybe having favorite trees, part of it is knowing every tree within your territory and knowing where the best place to be would be. So I'm wondering how many vehicles. Henry, come in.
Back?
How many vehicles are here?
Yeah, I'm out already.
Okay, thanks.
I think Fruit Camp is 2 more.
Getting to a rather precarious position here. Very long grasses on the edge of the drainage line. I don't know, can't see her now. Okay, well, she's gone down. So might take it into that Tambuti. I thought she might have brought it into this Albizia. She might also be taken to this Boerbean. Difficult to tell. But this stage, I'm going to have to leave. I know. Oh. Ooh. Vehicle on standby for Ingrid.
Yeah, go back.
Where are you from?
Yeah, that is the old Bamba here.
What, the Dingala?
I said, let me know if they kept the book.
I've lost visual, so I'm going to pull out. You can start making your way here. She's gone down to the Shkovanin, but I'm sure she's still going to try and put it in one of these trees. There she goes. She's gone to that tambuti. Yeah, I will be if I can just get out. Watch behind me, please. I'm just worried about falling off the edge. Oh my God. Okay, last visual I had of her was at the base of a tambuti down the bottom there. That shouldn't be allowed. That. No adult supervision, just a Land Rover full of children. Station's leaving the lock of Ingwe and Bamba and the drainage line. 2 cruise vehicles and lock. Come this way. Hi, M4. You can see where cruise vehicle is. She's gone down below. There's a tambuti just next to them. Not this tambuti here, but there's another one further back. But I think she's coming down into the Shkovanin. Because I didn't see a visual from that side anymore, and I don't know if we can get in there. But she's gonna put it somewhere and go and fetch those. Yeah.
Thanks, Info.
Okay, have fun. Yeah. Enjoy. Wow, that was awesome. For those of you who were with us for this, welcome to Wild Earth Safari. A very wild earth that we have right now. Tooth and claw and fur flying. 2 deaths in one open area in one night. That is something that will go down in history as quite a memorable day. And let's just have a look. Just want to show you what happens once an impala has been taken from a herd Just going to say hello to the rest of the herd. Some of them are already relaxed, lying down. You see, well, as relaxed as they can be with the ram running around.
Anybody interested? There's an emu in front of our camp.
Thank you, Sydney. Another leopard in front of Sydney's camp. They are bunched up. They're a lot more bunched up than they were. That might be a consequence of having just had a kill taken from them, or one of them taken in a kill. But life goes on. Life has to go on. I think they are they are well aware that what just took place. Some of them must have witnessed that one being taken. And instead of going off and... Oh, somebody got stuck. Can you hear the cars revving down there, Karula? But instead of now selecting food, they're actually all bunched up together, chewing the cud. They're in a little bit of a protective mode, but pretty much carrying on with life. Perhaps they know that once one has been killed, there's not likely going to be another one, another hunt. They are going to be a little bit extra vigilant. Well, it's going to have to wait until the afternoon to see what transpires, what happens further. Pretty sure she's going to be storing that kill, coming back to fetch the cubs. They are here somewhere. So I don't know, if we have a look around, we might see them in the last little couple of minutes of the drive. They might be here somewhere. I doubt whether they'll be visible. But then again, never say for sure. But who knows, maybe they're playing and rolling around. But Ruan has his work cut out for him this afternoon, trying to follow up on that line and their saga of what they're up to, and then trying to come and follow up on Karula. There will obviously be a number of vehicles out as well that are going to be around. It's a weekend, and so a lot of landowners are here again. There's an impala ram snorting in the bushes here. Yeah, my guess is that he can see the cub. There's an impala ram just in the bush here, and no doubt you can see the cubs, and maybe they're in a tree or something. Wildebeest off to our left. He's looking a little bit lost. He's had his herd scattered during the night. He's also vocalizing a little bit. It is unfortunate that we have to leave. It is unfortunate that we are limited to time. I'm the kind of person that I wouldn't even need to eat the rest of the day. I'd be able to spend the rest of the day just with all this activity. If we don't get this vehicle on charge, you won't have an afternoon drive. So it's important that we do get it back, and in the short time between morning and afternoon drive, we get batteries charged up again. My name is Mark, by the way, and Daniel has been on camera, and this has been Wild Earth Safari here at Nkuhuma Game Reserve. Been speechless with the morning that we've had. It's been absolutely wonderful, and I'm really happy that those of you who have been with us have joined us, and those of you who don't, well, as Rex used to say, walala wasala. Those of you who didn't get it, you'll have to watch the archives. Join us again, 3 o'clock Central African time, for a continuation of the saga. Bye, everybody. Bless you.